Hello all, this is a video for the course Basics of MATLAB and I am your Guru Siddharth Kaul. In this video I am going to talk about plotting in MATLAB. The 2D and 3D plotting capabilities of MATLAB are one of its most powerful features. The ease with which it is used and the flexibility provided by MATLAB is just pure mind-blowing. So let's get started. A typical plot in MATLAB. So what does a typical plot in MATLAB looks like? The anatomy and nomenclature of a typical XY plot is shown here. In this, the plot is of a data set and a curve generated from an equation. So a plot can be made from measured data or from an equation. When data are plotted, each data point is plotted with a data symbol or point marker such as small circles as represented here. An exception to this rule would be when there are so many data points that the symbols will be too much closely or too much densely packed. In that case, the data point should never be plotted. In that case, the data point should be plotted with a dot. However, when the plot is generated from a function, data symbols must never be used because it generates very large amount of points. So lines between closely spaced points are always used to plot a function. The MATLAB basic XY plotting function is plot of XY, as we have seen in the very first video of this course. If X and Y are vectors, a single curve is plotted with the X values on the abscissa and the Y values on the ordinate. The X label and Y label command puts label on the abscissa and the ordinate respectively. The syntax is X label and we pass the text, where text is the text we want to print on the label. Note that we must enclose the label's text in a single quotes. The syntax for Y label is the same. The title command puts the title at the top of the plot. Its syntax is title followed by the text we want to put as the title. The plot XY function in MATLAB automatically selects a tick mark spacing for each axis and places appropriate tick labels. This feature is called auto-scaling. MATLAB also chooses limits for the X and Y axis. The order of the X label, the Y label and the title commands does not matter, but we must place them after the plot command. Either we can place them on separate lines using ellipses or we can put them on the same line separated by comma. Here in this slide I have summarized some generic requirements that should be there in a very good or like a readable plot. So first is basically that each axis must be labeled with the name of the quantity that is been plotted and the units using which it has been plotted. Say if there are two or more quantities having different units, then both like say speed versus time, then on the y-axis that speed should be written and on the time axis the time should be written. Then each axis should have regularly spaced ticks at the convenient intervals. So basically the point here is that the spacing should not be too dense or it should not be too inconveniently spaced. Like for example, if we use a spacing of 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, it is much more easily readable. But if we use like 0.13, 0.26 and so on, the reading of the plot becomes a little difficult. So third is we should use a legend to distinguish between one or more curves, or like if we are plotting multiple data sets in a single plot. So legends or with the different line types we should be able to differentiate the plot. Fourth is we should use a title. So while preparing a multiple plots of similar type, if axis label are not good enough to understand like what the plot is, it is convenient to use a title. Fifth is if we are plotting measured data, then like each of the data points should be having a symbol like a circle or a square or a cross. It makes it easier to read the data. Sometimes sixth is sometimes data symbols are connected by lines to help visualize the data. So this is very helpful in case there are like very few data points. However, connecting the data points, especially with a solid line, might be interpreted to imply that the knowledge of what occurs between the data points. So this might lead to a misinterpretation of data. Like for example, we have a point on say 1 1 and then we have a point on 1 2. So we can connect the line linearly. So it states that the behavior from point 1 1 to 1 2 is a linear behavior, but this may not be the case. It can be a parabolic behavior or it can be an exponential behavior as well. So we have to be careful while using a solid line to plot the data. Then seventh is, if we are plotting by evaluating a function, we should not use a symbol to plot the points. We should use solid lines to connect the points. So this will help us identify the exact behavior or the movement of the function through the whole complete range. To further enhance our plot, we have grid and axis command. The grid command displays grid lines at the tick marks corresponding to the tick labels. The axis command is used to override the MATLAB selection for the axis limit. The basic syntax is like axis function, and then we pass the x minimum, x maximum, y minimum and y maximum. So this axis command sets the scaling for both x and y axis to the minimum and maximum values that has been passed. So one thing to note is that when we are passing these maximum and minimum values, it is not as same as passing it like an array. Here, instead of a comma, we have to use space. So as shown here, we can use x minimum space, x maximum space, y minimum and space, y maximum. So the axis command has few variants available. The axis square selects the axis limit so that the plot will be a square plot. So in that case, both x and y axis have square. It limits in such a way that the plot becomes a square plot. The axis equal selects the scale factors and tick spacing to be same on each of the axes. So like for example, if we plot a sin x and cos x with each other, and if we use an axis equal, the plot will look like a circle instead of an oval. Then we have axis auto that returns the scaling to its default auto scaling mode. So in this case, we don't have to worry about what the x-axis and y-axis scaling should be. Apart from the regular plot function, MATLAB also has a smart command for plotting functions. The function plot command automatically analyzes the function to be plotted and decides on its own how many plotting points to use so that the plot will show all the features of the function. Its syntax is fplot, we pass the function and then the minimum and the maximum value, where function is a function handle to the function that has to be plotted, and x minimum and x maximum specifies the minimum and maximum values to the independent variable. The range of the dependent variable can also be specified. In this case, the syntax becomes fplot, we pass the function and we pass the x minimum, x maximum, y minimum and y maximum. Let's see an example. So let's understand like what is the difference between f function plot and the plot. So the right hand side of the plot is which we have plotted using the normal plot function, and the left side of the plot is what we have plotted using fplot function. So first let's see how we use fplot function. So I have defined a function f that takes in the value of x and then does the cosine of the tangent of x and minus the tangent of the sine of x. So in the fplot function, we pass this f function and then we pass the minimum value of 1 to 2. So on the left graph that you see is the fplot function. So we can see like how smooth the graph actually is. Now let's do the same thing using the plot function. So again, I define the same function f, but now in this case I am defining another array x, another vector x from range 1 to 2 with a spacing of 0.01. Now I will plot this by passing the function f of x and the variable x. So we get the plot something looking right on the right hand side. So as you can see, the smoothness is very low. So to increase the smoothness, we have to reduce the spacing in the x variable. So this becomes like a manual labor kind of thing, whereas fplot function automatically decides how many points it has to plot. Plotting polynomial functions in MATLAB. So we can plot polynomials more easily by using the polynomial valuation function. The function polyval of p of x evaluates the polynomial p at the specified values of its independent variable x. So basically, polyval function evaluates the polynomial p that we have provided with the values that we have provided in the variable x. Say for example, the plot you see is for polynomial 3x to the power 5 plus 2x to the power 4 minus 100x to the power 3 plus 2x square minus 7x plus 90, and this has been plotted within a range of between the range of -6 to +6 with a spacing of 0.01. So we can write the code as follows. So we take a variable x, that is the range from -6 to +6 with a spacing of 0.01, and we define p that has the coefficient of this polynomial, that is 3, 2, -100, 2, -7 and 90, and we plot this by passing x and we polyval function and the output of the polyval function by passing p and x. So we get a plot that looks something like this. Let me summarize some basic commands in plotting. So we have an axis command. So axis command takes in the x minimum, x maximum, y minimum and y maximum as its input value in an array. So what this does is this sets the minimum and maximum limits of the x and y axis. Then we have fplot function. So it's a function plot. It takes in the function handle and the minimum and the maximum value over which it has to evaluate the function. So basically this is an intelligent form of plot function that automatically decides how much spacing is required to capture the exact behavior of the passed function. Then we have a grid command. So grid command displays the grid lines at the tick marks at the corresponding tick labels. Then we have plot of xy. So it basically generates a simple plot of array y versus the array x on the rectilinear axis. Then we have plot of y. It plots the values of y versus the indices of y if y is a vector. It plots the imaginary parts of y versus the real parts of y if vector is y is a vector having complex values. Then we have a polyval function. So this is a function that is required to evaluate the polynomial. So what it takes is it takes the polynomial coefficient p and the range x that it needs to evaluate on. So it returns the evaluated value of polynomial in an array. Then print lets the allows us to print the plot in the figure window. Then we have title. So title function basically takes in an input of text in a single quotation that puts this single quoted text on the top of the plot. Then we have x label that adds a text label to the x-axis, and we have y label that adds a text label to the y-axis. And see how we can save the plot that we create. So first I'm going to create a vector. Let's take the example of that same polynomial function. So I will create a vector x from range -6 to 6 with a spacing of 0.01. Then I'm going to take the polynomial vector p, that is 3x5 plus 2x4 minus 100x cube plus 2x square minus 7x plus 90, and I will create a vector p. Now I will take the plot function and I will pass this vector x and this polyval with p and x, and then I'm going to plot this plot. So this is the plot that we got and we saw in the slide. Now let's see how we can save it. So there are ways. Either we can go to File, Save, or we can just click the Save button from here. So when we click the Save, it opens a Save dialog box. So the Save dialog box allows you to name the file in which you want to save, and allows us multiple formats like figure format, that is in MATLAB figure. We want in bitmap like .bmp, we want in PNG, or we want it PDF, or we want it as JPG. So we can select any one, we can name it, say plot1, and we can save the file. So this is how we can save like plots in the MATLAB. There is also a command line for it where we use a save function and we pass the figure handle to it, and we do the same thing there. So we will see that in later videos. There are some generic points that one must know to make better plots, or we can say one can use to improve the plots or make the plots more readable. So I'm just listing it here. So the first is, whenever possible, we should try to start the scale from 0. So what this does is this prevents a false impression of magnitudes of any variation that is shown on the plot. Second is always it makes sense to use a sensible tick mark spacing. So what does a sensible mean? Let me explain with an example. Let's take an example. Say if we are plotting months, then choosing the spacing of 12 makes more sense as there are 12 months, so the spacing will be of one month each. So this is sensible. So but what if we plot with the spacing of 10? Then what happens is it becomes extremely difficult to understand the plot. We cannot be sure like it is month or it is like middle of the month or something like that. So tick marks must be close till it sounds useful. If we move it very much closer to each other, then it stops making sense. Third is we need to try to minimize the number of zeros in the tick label. Say for example we have a scale in millions, so instead of having a tick with 6 zeros after each number, we can use the scale in millions itself. Fourth is we need to determine the minimum and the maximum data values for each axis before plotting the data. Then set the axis limit to cover the entire data range plus an additional amount to allow convenient tick mark spacing that needs to be selected. Subplots. Subplots is a command that allows us to obtain several smaller subplots in the same figure window. The syntax for the same is m, n, p. So what this command does is this command divides the figure window into an array of rectangular panes with m rows and n columns. The variable p tells the MATLAB to place the output of the following plot command into this p pane. For example, subplot 3, 2, 5 creates an array of 6 panes. So this is 3 panes deep and 2 panes across, and and it directs the MATLAB to plot the next plot in the 5th pane. So following is shown here is a script file that demonstrates the use of this subplot function. So in the script file there are two functions to be plotted. The one is y is equal to e raised to minus 1.2x sine of 10x plus 5 with the range from with the range between 0 to 5, and the second one is y equal to modulus of x cube minus 10 between a range of minus 6 to 6. So we use subplot 1, 2, 1 to tell MATLAB to divide the plot into two smaller plots within a single row. So on the left side we will have the plot for this, and on the right side we will have the plot of the second function. The output of this is shown here. So it is very clearly visible. We write sub 1, 2. So it divided the whole figure window into two. With on the left side we have the plot of y is equal to e raised to minus 1.2x into sine of 10x plus 5 between range 0 to 5, and on the right side we have plot for second function, that is y is equal to mod of x cube minus 10 for a range between minus 6 to 6. So this is how subplots work. Now to use data markers, line types and colors to indicate lines in a plot, we need to provide the plot function with certain specified character constant. Say to plot the vector y versus the vector x, and if we want to mark each point with a data marker, so we can enclose that symbol for the marker in a single quotes to the plot function. So that is what is shown in the first line. So we are plotting x and y with the data marker of a small circle that is illustrated with a single quotation with a character constant of O. So there are certain characters that represent various data markers, line type and colors for a plot in a plot function. So it has been summarized in this table. So we have data markers, we have dot, that we use dot for the same, we have asterisk, that we use the asterisk character constant, we have cross where we use the x character constant, then we have circle where we use O character constant, then we have plus sign with plus, square we use S as a character constant, for diamond we use D as a character constant, and for 5-point star we use P as a character constant. Similarly, for line types we have a solid line that is represented by a single dash, we have dash line that is represented by 2 dashes, and we have a dash dot line that is represented by dash and dot, and we have a dotted line that is represented by a colon. Then we have colors. So the colors we have black represented with the character constant of K, blue represented as B, cyan as C, green as G, magenta as M, red as R, white as W, and yellow as Y. In cases where there are more than one curve or data set that is plotted on the same graph, we are required to distinguish between them. This distinguishing is done using different data symbols and different line types. When using such different line types and different data symbol, we need to provide a legend that will place a label for each of the line types. So to do the same in MATLAB plots, we use the legend command. The basic form of this command is legend function, and we pass the string 1 and the string 2, where string 1 and string 2 are the text strings of our choice. The legend command automatically obtains from the plot the line types that is used for each data set and displays a sample of this line type in the legend box next to the string we selected. An example for the same is shown here. Here the plot is of a hyperbolic function of sin h and tan h, and to distinguish between them we use a solid line for sine and a dashed line for tan hyperbolic, and we are using legend function to name each of these lines. The legend command must be placed somewhere after the plot command. When the plot appears in the figure window, we use the mouse to position this legend box that we have generated. So another way to distinguish curves is to place label next to each of the lines. The label can be generated either with a gtext command, which let us place the label by using the mouse, or with the text command, which requires us to specify the coordinates for the label. There can also be certain cases where we are required to plot multiple plots on the same figure window, but we need to use more than one plot command to do the same. So for this purpose, we use the command hold that tells MATLAB that the next plot command has to be plotted on the same figure. Suppose we want to plot y2 versus y1, where y2 is 4 plus e raised to minus x cos x, and y1 is 3 plus e raised to minus x sin x for a range of minus 1 to 1. And on the same plot, we want to have a complex function z that is 0.1 plus 0.9 I whole raised to power n, where n is in range 0 to 10. So the same has been scripted here. So first I have taken the vector x as minus 1 to 1 with a spacing of 0.01. Then I defined my both y1 and y2 function. Then first I plotted this z complex function, that is 0.1 plus 0.9 I to the power n, over the range of 0 to 10 with a spacing of 0.01. Then I use the hold command. This hold command, after the plot command that follows this hold command, will plot the data or the data set on the same plot. So after the hold command, I use the plot command and plotted y1 versus y2. So the y1 versus y2 is plotted on the same plot. So as you can see, on the right side we have y2 versus y1, and on the left side we have the imaginary versus the real values of z. Here is a summary of some of the commands that we just saw that basically enhances the plot. So we have a gtext command. So gtext command takes the text as input and places the string in the figure window at a point that is specified by the mouse. Then we have a hold command. This hold command freezes the current plot so that the subsequent plot command can plot the graphics on it. Then we have a legend where we pass string 1, legend 2. So it basically creates a legend using the strings leg1, leg2 and so on, and enables its placement with the mouse. Then we have plot command where we pass x, y, u and v. So it on the rectilinear axis it plots with the 4 arrays, that is y versus x and v versus u. Then we have plot x, y and we pass the type. So this plots the array of y versus plot of x using the line type or data marker or like color specified in the string type. Then we have subplot command that takes argument of m and np. So it splits the figure window into an array of sub windows with m rows and n columns and directs the subsequent plotting command to the pth sub window. Then we have text command that takes the xy coordinate and places the text passed on it on that coordinate in the figure window. Now there are some specialized plot command that are there. So we have a bar command. It creates a bar chart for x and y. Then we have a log function. So basically it produces log plot of y versus x where both the x and y axes are in log. Then we have plot YY, which that takes an input as x1, y1, x2 and y2, that produces a plot with two y-axes, that is y1 on the left and y2 on the right. Then we have a polar plot that takes in theta, r and the type, that produces a polar plot with the polar coordinates theta and r. And the type, we use it for data marker colors and specify whatever there is in the string type. Then we have semi-log x. It produces a semi-log plot of y versus x with logarithm x-axis. Then we have semi-log y that does the same thing, plots x and y with a logarithmic y-axis. Then we have stairs of x and y that produces a stair plot of y versus x. Then we have stem of xy that produces a stem plot of y versus x. Plots. So MATLAB allows us to interact with the plots. Let us see how it does that. So we have the select tool where we can select either the plot or we can select the background. So double clicking on them will allow us to edit it. So it will open the plot tools and it will allow us to edit the plot in the way we want. So for each of the things it will have property editor or something like that. Then we have zoom in. So clicking on zoom in, we can zoom on the axis like y-axis and z-axis together, and we can zoom out of it. We can use the hand tool. We can use the hand tool to scroll through the plot. This hand tool will only work when we are zoomed into the plot, and it will allow us to scroll through the whole plot either through the x-axis or either through the y-axis. Then we have a rotate. So this is the enable when we are doing a 3D plotting. So let me zoom out once. Now let us see this data cursor. So this data cursor allows us to select any data point on it and it will show its value. Like on X it has value of -4.78 and on Y it has value of 4649. Now we can color this or we can select this data. We can color the data points here like this. So as you can see, we can almost do the whole line as well. And then we can use this to create a variable from these selected data points. So we create a variable. It will tell us what variable we want. So we will say var through plot and we will do OK. So now let me close this. I will close this plot. So as you can see, var underscore plot has been variable has been created from the plot values, and when we see this value we'll get a whole array of values that has been there. So this is the kind of interactivity that is there in plotting in MATLAB. As talked earlier, MATLAB also supports three-dimensional plotting. Lines in 3D space can be plotted with the plot3 function. So its syntax is plot3 where we pass x, y and z. So for example, let's consider the plot that is shown here. So it plots the following equation, that is x e raised to minus 0.05 t sine of t, y as e raised to minus 0.05 t cos of t, and z equal to t. So if we vary t from 0 to 10 pi, the sine and cosine function will vary through 5 cycles, while absolute values of x and y will become smaller as t increases. So this will result in a spiral curve that is shown here in the plot. So basically if it was a two-dimensional plot, then we would have get a spiral plot with a top view. So as we are also varying the z-axis, so we are getting a spiral that is going upwards. So the code for the same is written below. So we took our t vector with 0 to 10 pi with the spacing of pi by 50, and then we plotted these x, y and z. Another form of 3D plot is a surface and mesh plots. The function z equal to function of x and y represents a surface when plotted on an x, y and z axis. And the mesh function provides the means to generate a surface plot. So before we can use this function, before we can use either mesh function or surface function, we must generate a grid of points in the xy plane and then evaluate the function fxy at these points. The mesh grid function generates the grid. The syntax for the mesh grid is xy, that is array x with the elements x and y, equal to mesh grid x of y, where small x is the minimum range of x minimum to x maximum, small y is y minimum to y maximum. So then this function will generate the coordinates of a rectangular grid with one corner at x minimum, y minimum, and at the opposite corner it will be x maximum and y maximum. So each rectangular panel in the grid will have a width equal to x spacing and a depth equal to y spacing. The resulting matrices x and y contain the coordinate pairs of every point in the grid. These pairs are then used to evaluate the function. The function xy equal to mesh grid of x is equivalent to xy is equal to mesh grid of x comma x, and can be used if both x and y have the same minimum values and the same maximum values and the same spacing. So after the grid is computed, we can create the surface plot with the mesh function. So its syntax is mesh x comma y comma z. So it takes in x, y and z as input. The grid label and text function can be used with the mesh function as well, and in the same manner as in the plot function. So here we first create a mesh grid, as we want both x and y to have same minimum and maximum value, and with the same spacing we have passed the array from -2 to 2 with a spacing of 0.1. That is done in the code here. So then we write our function z of x and y. So we have z as x e raised to minus x minus y square whole square plus y square. So the equation has been shown here. So after that we label the x-axis. After that we use the mesh function to plot the same on the created mesh grid. And after plotting the mesh, as we can see the output comes like here, we label the x-axis and y-axis and the z-axis. So with this I conclude this video on plotting in MATLAB. So we saw how powerful MATLAB is in handling the plot and how easy it is to create plots in both 2-dimension and 3-dimension space. So shown here in this slide are some few guidelines that should be remembered to make effective plots that will convey the desired information. So first is obviously to label each axis with the name of quantity that is being plotted and its units. That has been said so many times in this video. Second is to use regularly spaced tick marks at the convenient intervals along each axis. That has also been discussed. Third is to use legends or labels to distinguish between multiple curves when they are plotted on the same plot. This also we have seen. Fourth is when preparing multiple plots of similar type, it is better to use a title to convey information. And fifth, when we are plotting the measured data, it is required to plot each data point in a given set with the same symbol, as different symbol might lead to confusion. With these points in mind, we can create plots. You can create plots that are easy to understand and can stand on its own. So thanks for watching.